Hi everyone, Terri Crosby here in Care of Relationships. I help people I help people who love each other get along. That's what I do. I'm here for Friday Love, the next episode. This one is called It Takes Two, right? And it comes from a question from a listener. Here's her question. I think partnership is just that, a partnership. It takes two, right? It feels like my partner is lazy and depends on me to make adjustments. Shouldn't he step up and come to therapy with me or read a book that I suggest? Another woman said it this way: my partner gets to do whatever he wants, and I'm the one that has to change. I resent that. So for this discussion, I'm going to take that point of view as if it's my own. That's going to be easy for me because I used to have that point of view. So basically, to sum it up, my point of view is that I'm doing a lot in the relationship, so why aren't you? That's basically it. So I began my investigation, and I recommend these steps. I recommend these contemplations. I started by wondering how I'd actually come to the conclusion that I'm the one doing all the work in the relationship. Good question. Did I even, how did I decide that? Did I even ask Eric what his contributions were in the relationship? I didn't. I found that out by having a discussion with him. I found out, that maybe he was contributing in ways that I had dismissed as not as important. And one of the things I found out that he did for me deliberately and consciously was he always was trying to make my life easier, especially physically. So after a party, he'd say, just, sweetheart, go to bed. I'll finish this. I'll finish cleaning up. And he did. And so I got up the next morning to a much cleaner kitchen than it would have been, if we just left it all. Sometimes he did an errand so that it wouldn't require my energy or time, or, he'd get up and shut a window or turn the furnace down if we forgot. He was always the one that said, I'll take care of it. I'll do it. My next part of the investigation was that because I'm a foodie and everything's about food and wine and delicious things, I thought maybe I could compare my attitude to a fine wine. So I thought, what are the qualities of this wine that I'm making with Eric every day? What flavors, what aromas? Maybe I should do a sniff test. And when I did that, I discovered that the grapes that were used to make my fine wine were grown in great soil, but why did they have these notes of stingy in them? Why was there a little taste of arrogance or a hint of superiority or self-importance? What was that doing in my fine wine? So at one point I thought, I don't really have an attitude. I have a bad attitude. And it was really a profound experience for me to look honestly at what made up, all the flavors and the aromas and the tastes of this point of view that I had created living with Eric every day. This point of view that I had created about him. And then I started looking at the idea, it's a very common idea to say that it takes two to make a relationship work. I mean, that's a common relationship belief. It's what people say. And the short story, because this is a short video, the short story is that I found out that's not true. In my relationship with Eric, I found out that that's not true. It doesn't take two people. It takes one. You could not have convinced me of that 10 years ago, 20 years ago. You could not. I wouldn't have believed you. But my experience in my relationship with Eric is that it takes one. And here's what I mean. I know. Hang on to your hat. I never, when I made the decision to create a better relationship with him, I did so by focusing on myself. I did not expect him to do a thing. lift a finger in any way that I was doing. Like, I didn't ask him to go to therapy, read a book, come hear a talk. I didn't do any of that. He didn't lift a finger about the relationship in the same way that I did. He didn't do that. So what happened with us is that I made changes in me because I wanted to. And then he responded differently to that new me. I wanted to become the person I knew myself to be, not the person that I was actually being in relationship with him. That was kind of the old story and the old me. I wanted to become the me that I actually am. And I wanted that in a powerful way. So I recommend that. I recommend that in order to actually make changes in the relationship, focus on yourself all the time, not the other person. In terms of changes and realizations, it's you focusing on you. So it takes one. I stopped criticizing him, for instance. I just stopped. And how I learned that was I practiced with myself. I practiced being kind with myself so I could be that way with him. I dedicated myself to receiving him. I practiced receiving myself, listening to myself, understanding myself so that I could be that way with him. And I'm still learning. But what happened was that when I brought myself, the best of myself forward, that invited the best of Eric into the relationship as well. And then we had a whole new thing when that happened. When I stepped up to contribute my kindness to the relationship, then he'd step up with his. So what I found out was that our contributions in the relationship indeed were different. Equal, but different. I'm Terri Crosby in Care of Relationships. If I can do anything to assist you in your relationships, please contact me. My website is below. Feel free to share this video with anyone that might benefit. And I hope you have a good Friday and a super weekend. Take good care of yourself.